Esselamu aleyküm ve rahmetullahi ve berekatühü. Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters, friends of my life, friends of my heart,
Allah Teala'nın huzurunda bir defa daha sizlerle birlikte olmak,
to be with you again one more time in the presence of Allah is a great blessing of Allah. We thank and praise Almighty Allah that we are all together with you.
beraberliği yaşıyoruz.
We have this unity.
Sadece bir söyleşiyi dinleme ve söyleme
This unity is not only a discourse,
çok daha deruni bir anlamı vardır.
it has deeper meaning,
Bu konuşmalarda hep Allah'tan bahsederiz.
because during these discourses we always talk about Allah.
Allah'ın hedefinin
And we would like everyone to know that the purpose of Allah is to make everyone happy and
üçüncü katını
at least
mutlaka ulaştırmak isteriz.
have them go to third heaven.
Herkesin bilmesini isteriz. Allah Teala kim bana ulaşmayı dilerse
Allah Ta'ala says, whomever wishes to reach me,
kendime
I deliver them to myself.
Kim bana
Whomever
dilerse
is wishing to reach me, what is it that will reach Allah?
hayır.
Is it our physical body? Not at all.
Bizlere üfürmek lütfunda bulunduğu
Spirit that Allah blessed us
doğru bir ifadeyle
as He blown it into our physical body. Actually, it is the Spirit of Allah that needs to return back to Allah.
böyle bir noktada hep sorar.
At such point, many people ask that, well, if the Spirit leaves, don't we die? Not at all, my dear brothers and sisters. We wouldn't die.
İstediği an ayrılır.
Spirit may leave the physical body any time it wishes.
Bir dünyaya
It may go to the other side of the world. It may go to a different dimension within infinite speed. It may return back. It's totally free.
tekrar ruh
And nobody can feel that it leaves you or returns back into you.
bir şey hiç kimseye nasip olmaz. Ama ruh muhteşem bir serbestliğinin sahibidir.
Spirit, that freedom,
Dilediği
it may go anywhere it wishes to with that infinite speed.
sahibidir. Dilerse kişinin vücuduna hemen geri döner. Dilerse
If it wishes, it returns back to the body. If it doesn't wish, it may stay wherever it is.
bağlıdır.
That is up to the Spirit.
Ama hepiniz bir görevle görevlisiniz.
Yet you all have a duty,
Şu dünya hayatını yaşarken
as you are still living the life of this world, to render your spirit back to Allah.
sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
yeni bir güne adım atıyorsunuz.
you are stepping into a new day.
Allah'a ulaştırmayı dilerse
Whomever wishes to render the spirit back to Allah before death, as Allah clearly indicates,
ben onu kendime
that spirit will return back to Allah, because Allah Ta'ala says, whomever wishes to reach me, I'll deliver them to myself.
öyleyse kişiye Allah Teala bu konudaki talebi hissettirir.
Allah Ta'ala makes everyone to feel that wish.
Kişi
Individual who
Allah'a ulaşmayı
feels that
dileyen kişidir.
will make that wish and will make the wish to return back to Allah before death.
Böyle bir dileği hacet namazını kılıp da mürşidini sormakla gerçekleştirecek olan bir kişi
And the individual afterwards will request a religious guide from Allah and will perform necessity prayer, Salatul Hajj, and ask a religious guide from Allah. Salatul Hajj is a 4 rak'ah of a prayer.
mutlaka boy abdesti
It certainly requires a total body ablution beforehand,
Allah'a
and the individual makes a wish
bir ihtimalle
at the end of the prayer.
kabul edecektir.
Allah will most likely accept that wish. What is it that Allah wants, my dear brothers and sisters?
O insanlar hayattayken Allah'a geri dönmek.
spirits to return back to Allah as those people are still living the life of this world. And what will that mean?
Girmesini ifade eder.
That would mean those people to be entitled to heaven.
Dilediği noktada
At the point the individual makes the wish to reach Allah,
ikinci kat cennetin
that individual is entitled to first heaven.
düşünün.
My dear brothers and sisters, can you imagine
Ya Rabbi
just one wish saying,
sana ulaştırmayı.
Almighty Allah, I'm willing to render my spirit back to you before death. Please help me
Sana ulaştırmamı nasip et bana.
deliver my spirit back to you.
Daha kısa bir ifadeyle ya Rabbi ne olur benim de ruhumu sana ulaştır.
It is such a simple wish saying, you have all these saints who sent their spirits to you. Make me one of those saints.
Olur Yüce Rabbim.
Please, Almighty Allah, help me.
Bu zor bir şey sevgili kardeşim.
Is it a difficult task to say that?
Cehennemi görmediniz.
You haven't seen hell.
Ne kadar korkunç işkencelerin var olduğunu bilmiyorsunuz.
You don't know how scary the torture is in hell. If you did, then you would have made the wish to reach Allah right away.
Hepinize ama hepinize diyoruz ki
Therefore, humbly myself, I keep telling each and every one of you that doesn't matter you're our brother, sister or not, even if you are a jinn aside from human being,
Allah'a
you need to make the wish to reach Allah.
yakın olmanızı isteriz.
We want you to be closer to Allah.
Teala ruhundan üfürmüştür.
Allah Ta'ala had blown a spirit in every individual, but that is not the case for jinn. Jinn are made out of physical body and soul.
Ötesinde bir
On the other hand, human beings, aside from physical body and soul, they also have a spirit that Allah blows into them from His own spirit as soon as we are born.
sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
isteseler de insanlar, istemeseler de
either people like it or not,
Allah
their spirits will certainly return back to Allah.
istemiyor.
Let's say the individual is not asking
Ne kadar
his or her spirit to return back to Allah before death.
virüze girerek, dikkat edin kişi dilediği an demiyorum.
That spirit is entitled to leave the physical body anytime it wishes. Pay attention, I didn't say when the individual wants, I said when the spirit wants.
Tam bir kopyasıdır kişinin.
Spirit looks exactly
Kopya.
like the physical body.
İşte bu ruh adı verilen varlık
The concept that is called spirit
ne kadar o kişiyle beraber
will be along with that physical body till death.
kişi rüya denen olayı
It may leave the physical body anytime it wishes.
ayrılan
Sometimes you experience your dreams with your spirit. My dear brothers and sisters,
her şey öylesine güzel.
everything is so wonderful.
Ruhun insan vücudunda bir süre kaldıktan sonra Allah Teala'ya geri dönmesi ölüm denen bir olayla mutlaka
After death, spirit will certainly return back to Allah.
Allah'a geri dönmesi.
Death means spirit to leave the physical body and return back to Allah, unless the individual made the wish to reach Allah earlier and took a pledge of allegiance to a religious guide.
O zaman o kişinin ruhu
Then, along with death, spirit will return back to Allah.
kendi kendine
If the individual didn't take a pledge of allegiance, spirit is still in the physical body. Spirit cannot return back to Allah
öteki kişi
on its own. The individual has to, one, will make the wish to reach Allah.
Allah'a mülaki olmak demek
Becoming mulaki to Allah means to render the spirit back to Allah before death.
ruh açısından düşünürsek ruhun Allah'a
In regards to spirit,
dünya hayatını yaşamak
the spirit to return back to Allah as the individual is still living the life of this world.
bir muhteva söz konusuysa
And two, the individual has to take a pledge of allegiance to a murshid, a religious guide.
ruhu Allah'a ulaşmayı gerçek anlamda bir dilekle
If the individual is truly wishing to render the spirit back to Allah from the heart,
olacaktır.
then along with pledge of allegiance to a religious guide, spirit will leave the physical body.
Olabilir.
Spirit may leave the physical body anytime it wishes on its own, but it cannot return back to Allah on its own.
Bir kafile ulaşmasıdır.
Spirit
Yani birçok
can return back to Allah
da Allah
on a journey with other spirits.
Öyleyse ruh insan vücudundan ayrılıp da kendi kendine bir yolculukla Allah'a ulaşamaz.
Therefore, spirit cannot make its own decision to return back to Allah.
Vücuttan ayrılabilmesi,
Spirit to be able to leave the physical body to return back to Allah certainly requires the individual to wish to reach Allah and take a pledge of allegiance to a religious guide that Allah specifically showed to that individual, not to anybody else.
anlandığı zaman gerçekleşir. Kişi mürşidine ulaşır,
The individual finds that religious guide, kisses his hand,
onun söylediklerini
and repeats after him.
böylece tabiyet gerçekleşir.
In that regard, pledge of allegiance gets fulfilled. Along with pledge of allegiance, spirit will certainly leave the physical body to return back to Allah
Tarikatın kafilesine katılacak.
and will join the group of that tariqah.
Birçok kişi
At that very time, many spirits from the same tariqah is on their path to return back to Allah.
ise böyle bir muhtevaya baktığımız zaman ne görüyoruz?
And what is it that we see within this concept?
Tabi oldu.
I took a pledge of allegiance to Muhammad Rashid many years ago, when he was still a living being.
O zaman vücudumuzu terk etti.
Then my spirit left my physical body and joined that group,
Muhammed Raşid Hazretleri'nin kafilesine
the group of
ruhumuz Allah'a
His Eminence Muhammad Rashid, and returned back to Allah.
isimleri de
Then Allah Ta'ala helped me to fulfill my other submissions as I thank and praise Allah countless times.
sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
Allah'la olan ilişkileriniz
your relationship with Allah
öyle bir noktayı ihtiva etmelidir ki
should come to a certain point that
terk etsin.
your spirit should certainly leave your physical body to return back to Allah and join the group of spirits that are about to return back to Allah.
İşte böyle bir noktada 7 tane gök katı
At such a point, spirit will go through 7 of the heavens one at a time.
öyle bir yolculuktur ki
It is such a journey that
kısmı birinci katta kalacak.
some spirits will remain on the first of the heavens because they cannot go to the second of the heavens. Some will go to the second of the heavens.
Kısmı üçüncü, bir
Some others will go to third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and some will go all the way to the seventh of the heavens.
kata kadar
At the seventh of the heavens,
Allah'a doğru bir yolculuk.
those spirits will be able to go through 7 worlds.
Onlardan eğil olanlar
And amongst those spirits who come to the end will return back to Allah and submit to Allah at the end of that path.
kişinin ruhunun zikir hücrelerinde zikrini tamamlaması.
As the spirit completes the zikr within zikr cells, after that spirit will get to Sidratul Muntaha,
Oradan
and from Sidratul Muntaha with a vertical journey, it reaches Allah.
sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
insan için Allah ile beraber olmak Allah Teala'nın çok büyük bir
to be with Allah
nimeti.
is a great blessing of Allah for every human being.
Kim yarattı bizleri sevgili
Who
kardeşlerim?
created us, my dear brothers and sisters?
Allah yarattı.
It is Allah who created each and every one of us.
Ol dedi.
He did wish to create, and He said, be, and it was.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
siz isteseniz de istemeseniz de
either you like it or not,
Allah'a
your spirit will certainly return back to Allah at the end.
kardeşlerim
Yet, my dear brothers and sisters,
hasebiyle şurası muhakkak ki sizler
it is
ruhunuzu bu dünya hayatında
absolute that
Allah'a ulaştırmayı dileyenlersiniz.
you are the ones who did make the wish
Bu
to
düzen içerisinde
render the spirit back to Allah before death. Therefore, you will go through those beautiful notions
kişi kalpten bir dilekle
with a wish from the deep in the heart individual makes to wish to render the spirit back to Allah, and if the individual has a lifespan for 7 to 8 months, Allah will certainly deliver that spirit back to himself within that time frame.
Böylece kişi Allah'a ulaşmayı dileyen ve ruhunu Allah'a ulaştırmış olan birisi.
And the individual is the one who wishes to return back to Allah and who delivered the spirit back to Allah, which means a saint whose spirit is sent back to Allah. That spirit reaches Allah. The spirit returns back to Allah and submits to Allah as it disappears in Allah.
Nereden gelmişti?
Where did it come from initially? With the blowing of Allah, it came from Allah.
Her doğan çocuğa
Into every newborn baby, Allah blows a spirit into that baby as soon as the birth takes place.
bu Allah'ın ruhunun o kişiye yüklenmesidir.
That is
Niçin
transfer of spirit of Allah onto that baby. Why does Allah Ta'ala do that?
ruhunu hayattayken
For that individual to become mindful and render that spirit back to Allah before death and have the honor to become a saint of Allah.
teslimidir.
That is the submission of spirit.
Daha sonrası
After that,
kişinin zikrinin günün yarısını aşmasından çok sonra
way after zikr of the individual exceeds half of the day,
Allah Teala'nın dizaynı içerisindeki
within the design of Allah,
kendisine düşen görevleri yapması
physical body to start fulfilling every command of Allah and doing zikr in an increasing fashion,
önce ruhu Allah'a
then the physical body submits to Allah. Within 7 to 8 months, spirit submits to Allah, then the individual will submit physical body to Allah, which is not an easy task.
kişinin nefsinin kalbinin büyük ölçüde Allah'ın nurlarıyla dolması gerekir.
The soul's heart needs to be accumulated with majority of the glories of Allah for physical body to be able to submit to Allah.
Nefsin teslimi ise daha ötede.
And submission of soul even takes place beyond that.
Ruhun ve için nefsin teslimi
These are the submissions of spirit, physical body and soul cannot submit to Allah without continuous zikr.
daimi zikrin
Yet, submission of free will takes place at the later stages of continuous zikr.
sevgili kardeşlerim
My dear brothers and sisters, everything is so wonderful.
insanlar Allah Teala ile olan ilişkilerinde hedeflerine yürümek istikametinde çok şeyleri unutmuş durumdalar.
Human beings have forgotten many things within their relationships with Allah.
Bir Osmanlı İmparatorluğundan bahsediyorsak
If we are talking about an Ottoman Empire,
padişahları
all sultans of Ottomans were in Sufism.
tamamen tasavvuftandı.
People of palace were in Sufism.
Tasavvuftandı.
Soldiers were all Sufis.
Allah'ın yardımını aldılar sevgili kardeşlerim.
And therefore they always received the help of Allah.
Bu sebeple hep yardım etti.
That was the reason why Allah always helped them.
Ve onlar görevlerini en güzel standartlarda
And they always fulfilled their duties in a best fashion.
sevgili kardeşlerim
My dear brothers and sisters,
yaşamak,
to live for Allah,
Allah için
to be for Allah,
olmak aslında başkaları için yaşamak
that actually means
derecesindeydir.
to live for others
Kim başkalarına hizmet için,
and to be for others.
başkalarını mutlu etmek için
Who
çalışıyorsa
Ever is working to make others happy,
ulaştırmak üzere harekete geçiyor.
that is the individual who is certainly willing to render the spirit back to Allah. And that spirit will certainly return back to Allah within 7 to 8 months.
Dinini yaşamak istiyorsa
If the individual is willing to fulfill more than that,
aşacak olan
then his zikr will exceed half of the day.
daha sonra çok daha üst seviyede zikir gerçekleşecektir.
Then zikr will increase even more. and the individual will get to the point of continuous zikr.
ayrı kademeleri ifade edecek.
Each one of these stages are referring to a different level.
Sonra fizik vücudu,
First, the spirit will submit to Allah, then
nefsini Allah'a teslim.
physical body, then soul, then the free will.
Öyleyse insanoğluna baktığımız zaman
When we take a look at the human beings,
ya mutlu bir insan ya da mutsuz bir insan,
we see either happy people or unhappy people.
Allah'a doğru yola çıkmayan bir insan
Individual who's not on the path of Allah cannot experience true happiness.
kişinin ayaktayken de, otururken de, yanüstü yatarken de
True happiness
sını
means
ifade eder.
when the individual is standing, sitting, or lying down, that individual needs to be happy.
Bitimiyle tamamlanır.
Happiness is complete when you finish the fight between soul and spirit.
Karşı çıkan
Soul is always against every command of Allah and willing to do everything Allah prohibits
bütün boyutları
with the encouragement of Satan.
ruh ise
Spirit, on the other hand,
emirlerini yerine
is only willing to fulfill the commands of Allah and not willing to do anything Allah prohibits and cannot do anything Allah prohibits.
mekanizma ifade eder. Biz insanlar nefsimizin afetleri
As human beings,
Allah'ın yasak ettiği
due to our vices of the soul's heart,
yapmışız.
we usually do things against the commands of Allah.
Ama insan tasavvufu öğrendikten sonra
But after people learn tasawwuf, Sufism, and after wishing to reach Allah and taking a pledge of allegiance to a murshid,
nefsin afetlerini yenmek
then
insanın
he has the ability to eliminate vices of the soul's heart.
sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
her şey öylesine
everything is indeed so wonderful.
bütün insanlar için Allah o insanların mutluluğunu vermeye daima hazırdır.
Allah is always ready to make everyone happy.
Öğrensin ne yapması lazım.
Only if the people learn what they need to do and be ready to put it into practice and ask Allah to help. Allah Ta'ala says,
Ulaşmayı diler.
whomever wishes to reach me, I deliver them to myself.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
hidayet demek
the meaning of hidayah is
ruhun Allah'a ulaşmasıdır.
spirits returning back to Allah. That is the hidayah of spirit. What will that returning provide?
Vücutla ilişkisinin kesilerek Allah'a
Spirit to leave the physical body and to submit to Allah.
sonraki safa
The stage after that is the submission of physical body.
safa
Stage after that is submission of soul to Allah.
son safa ise
And the last stage is the submission of free will.
ruhumuzu ve içimizi, nefsimizi ve irademizi Allah'a teslim etmek gibi bir görevimiz var.
That means our duties are to submit our spirit, physical body, soul, and free will to Allah.
Takdirde
Only if we fulfill that duty,
en güzele dönüşmesi
then everything turns out to be wonderful.
öyleyse bütün insanlar için bir güzellik söz konusu.
There is a beautiful notion for every individual.
Ki bütün insanlar mutlu olsun.
Allah Ta'ala wants all people to be happy.
Diğeri ise
Yet, levels of happiness starts with the wish to reach Allah.
ruhun
Pledge of allegiance to a murshid is the second stage. Spirit to return back to Allah is the third. Submission of physical body is fourth. Submission of soul is the fifth stage. Becoming muhlis is the sixth stage. And submitting free will is the seventh stage.
hangisine ulaşan kişi o ulaştığı noktada ölmüşse
Whenever the individual dies after getting to any of these stages, the level of heaven will be based on that.
ölen bir kişi
Individual who dies after submitting spirit to Allah,
ölen
as the individual was entitled to first heaven as soon as he or she made a wish to reach Allah.
dileyen kişi birinci kat cennetin sahibi olarak ölür. Bundan sonrasına ulaşamadıysa.
If the individual couldn't fulfill after the first stage, is certainly entitled to first heaven.
İkinci kat cennetin sahibi.
If he took a pledge of allegiance to a murshid and then died, he is entitled to second heaven.
Ondan sonra ölür.
The individual rendered the spirit back to Allah and died after that, he is entitled to third heaven. If he submitted physical body to Allah, he is entitled to fourth heaven. If he submitted soul to Allah, he is entitled to fifth heaven. If he became a muhlis one, he is entitled to sixth heaven.
Allah'a teslim etmek.
If he submitted his free will to Allah, he is entitled to seventh heaven.
Mutluluklar daha üstün, daha üstün
And within these stages,
seviyeye ulaşır.
happiness goes to a higher and higher and higher level.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
bu teslimleri gerçek anlamda tamamlayabilen bir insan
individual who can fulfill all these submissions is one of the happiest person in this world.
mutlu oldukça Allah'ın dostluğunu kazanmaları da aynı paraleli takip
As people get closer to Allah, people get happier and happier.
mutlulukları artar.
On one side, their happiness will increase. On the other side, their spiritual progress will increase
Tamamlanır.
and comes to a completion at one point.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters, within such a design,
insan olmanın ne kadar güzel bir muhteva taşıdığını görüyoruz.
we realize what a great concept to be a human being.
Çok hamd etsek,
It's not enough how much we thank and praise Allah Ta'ala simply because Allah Ta'ala created us as a human being.
istiyor ki her an Allah ile birlikte olalım.
And He wants us to be with Him every second. Would that be a possibility? Well, you're always with Him.
Ki siz ona müracaat edin.
Only if
Konuşun.
you talk to Him,
Kim
ask His help.
ben seninle konuşmak istiyorum.
Whomever says, Almighty Allah, I'm willing to talk to you. Even though I cannot hear you, I know you indeed hear me.
Ruhumu sana teslim etmeye, fizik vücudumu teslim etmeye,
I wish to render my spirit, physical body, soul, and free will to you.
gidiyorum. Biliyorum ki ben kendime düşenleri yapabilirsem
I know that if I can fulfill my part, you will certainly help me for these submissions,
üçüncü, dördüncü,
and even accept me to your first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh heaven.
Şimdi bu noktada sevgili
At
kardeşlerim,
that point, my dear brothers and sisters,
insanları ne kadar çok sevdiğini gösterecek olan asli
the
delili ve
indicator, which is a proof how much Allah loves every human being, is
yani ruhunu
when an individual makes the wish to render the spirit back to Allah and dies after that. In other words, after saying,
ulaştırmayı
I'm willing to render my spirit back to you. Please, make my spirit return back to you.
ben
Just like your other saints,
ereyim.
I like to become a saint to you and render my spirit back to you.
Kişi
Individual makes that wish,
buna müsaade
but he doesn't have any other moment in this life.
birinci kat cennete girer.
But it is indeed
Ne yapacaktı bu kişi?
a guarantee for that individual to go to heaven. If he did live,
Onun hacet namazını
Allah Ta'ala will help that individual to take total body ablution, perform necessity prayer, Salatul Hajj, and ask a murshid from Allah. And Allah will have certainly showed a murshid to that individual, a religious guide.
gösterdikten sonra
After that,
bu kişi ölmüşse
if the individual dies,
ise
if he dies
birinci kat cennetin sahibi.
before reaching a religious guide, he is entitled to first heaven.
Mürşidini bile soramadan ölmüşse gene birinci kat cennetin
If the individual couldn't ask a murshid from Allah and died, he is certainly entitled to first heaven.
sahibi. Dileyen herkes
Everybody who makes the wish to render the spirit back to Allah are guaranteed to first heaven.
milyonlarca Allah'a ulaşmayı dilemeden ölen insanı hatırlayın sevgili.
Then think of all those millions of people without making the wish to reach Allah.
İşte
What a pity for all those people.
bu hakikatleri
I've dedicated my life to explain these facts to every human being. And with all our power, we try to get in touch with every individual to let them know that don't be afraid. It is very simple to be able to make to heaven your one single wish, which is, I'm willing to return back to you before that, will certainly grant you first heaven. How did the individual know if he did wish or not? Well, he will clearly know it. How? Because the individual who makes the wish will certainly have the willing to find a religious guide, as Allah put that will in their hearts. And the individual will start seeking that religious guide.
Çünkü onu hedefe ulaştıracak olan, yani onun ruhunu Allah'a ulaştıracak olan kişi,
because the individual who will help spirit to leave the physical body and return back to Allah is the religious guide. And that religious guide is the one who took a pledge of allegiance to his murshid, as it was the case for his murshid. And that goes back all the way to our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My dear brothers and sisters, is everything so wonderful, or is it only me feeling this? Whoever makes that simple thing, in other words, willing to render the spirit back to Allah, whoever only makes the wish, but not to deliver the spirit, just a wish, that individual is free of hellfire. If that individual dies right away. If the individual keeps living, then Allah will certainly give the love of religious guide to that individual. You cannot take a pledge of allegiance to any murshid, any religious guide. That will not fulfill anything. Allah will certainly show the murshid for that individual. The individual will have a love of religious guide and will certainly perform necessity prayer and ask from Allah. And that's what Allah wants, to perform necessity prayer and ask from Allah who your murshid is. You take your total body ablution, perform necessity prayer, and you go to bed as you turn to your right hand side facing Kaaba. And you wish for a religious guide. If that wish is from the heart again, it is not possible Allah not to show that individual on that very night. Well, if the wish is not from the heart, then the individual cannot see. The individual needs to perform necessity prayer over and over again till he sees the murshid. If he is not seeing it, that means something is missing. Allah is the one who knows everything. Whoever deserves and whatever they deserve, Allah will certainly give it to them. Allah is the one who grants whatever we deserve. Gives what we give to each other, but Allah is the one who grants. My dear brothers and sisters, Allah Ta'ala gives best of everything to everybody. Allah Ta'ala says, whomever makes the wish to reach me, I deliver them to myself. What is the meaning of that, my dear brothers and sisters? Individual who is mindful, that individual cannot go to hell. That's what it means. Because as soon as that individual becomes mindful and makes the wish to return back to Allah before death, he's entitled to first heaven. But if he carries on and lives on, Allah will certainly give the love of murshid to the individual. Individual will perform necessity prayer. The individual will be willing to perform necessity prayer after total body ablution and will perform necessity prayer. And on that night, most likely Allah will show who the murshid is. If it is not the case, the individual will keep praying necessity prayer and keep asking Allah. If the individual is truly wishing to reach Allah, then Allah will certainly show who the religious guide is. My dear brothers and sisters, what will that mean? Well, that means so much actually. Take a careful look at Allah's design here. What is it that Allah wants? What is it Allah wants from us? Allah Ta'ala wants us to be happy, live the life of this world in joy and happiness. But that's not enough. Allah Ta'ala also wants us to go to heaven. Allah Ta'ala wants us to live infinite life in heaven for such a simple reason. Life in heaven is infinite. And to provide that infinite life in heaven in great joy is only based on a wish from the heart, as the individual will say, I'm willing to render my spirit back to you before death. Please, make that happen for me. Is the wish of the individual accepted or not? If the individual is willing to find a religious guide after making the wish to reach Allah, then Allah will certainly put the love of religious guide in the heart of the individual. And the individual will ask a religious guide from Allah with a great willing. And when he performs necessity prayer after total body ablution, Allah will certainly show the religious guide to that individual specifically for that individual. We all went through same path. I took a pledge of allegiance to my Murshid and got on the path of Allah. I am a student of His Eminence Muhammad Rashid. Everybody certainly has a religious guide, and they should have. And that should be a Murshid who delivered many spirits back to Allah. Then what is it that we see, my dear brothers and sisters? This salvation is a possibility for everyone. And within such a design, what we need to do is we need to make the wish to reach Allah and ask a religious guide from Allah. And Allah knows best who is suitable religious guide for every individual. Allah will certainly show, because Allah wants everyone to make to heaven. Yet Allah created everyone with a free will. Because of that free will, some people make the wish to reach Allah and they become entitled to heaven. Majority of them, unfortunately, do not make the wish to reach Allah. And that's where the problem is, my dear brothers and sisters. Inshallah, we will come to an era, majority of the people will be willing to wish to reach Allah before death. And all those who make the wish to reach Allah, doesn't matter what era they live in, they certainly go to Allah's heaven. If they do not change their hearts, of course. My dear brothers and sisters, friends of my life, friends of my heart, we thank and praise Allah Ta'ala countless times that we completed another discourse at this point. My dear brothers and sisters, I love you all very, very much, and embrace each and every one of you with love. May Allah bless you all. May you all be granted the greatest joy by Allah.
Esselamu Aleyküm ve Rahmetullah ve Berekatuhu.
Thank you, Lord.